Will Cody and Satori be a part of the Conjuring house if Jason Hawes takes over? What will Jason Hawes do with the property if he was to acquire it? What would happen to the former staff of the property if Jason Hawes was to acquire it? Why does Jason Hawes need the money if the guy has got money? Those are all the questions that I keep getting in the comments section of my YouTube channel at the moment. Because obviously it's a huge talking point that Jason Hawes will be taking over the property, or in a very strong position as he so claims. Now, a lot of the questions that I seem to be getting are actually answered within the live stream that I did with Jason actively on Monday night. Now, I'm going to compilate the questions together with the answers so that you can get a concise boom, boom, boom answers straight from Jason himself. Now, it's worth noting as well, some of the questions weren't just asked by myself, they were actually asked by members of the community directly to Jason, whether it be through chats or whether it be that they joined onto the Zoom call that we were on in order to ask the questions directly to Jason. And this is something that I'm going to start doing every single Monday night, where I'm going to try and get different guests onto the show. Usually, hopefully, it will be surrounding the topic at hand. So in this instance, it might be the Conjuring house, for people to be able to connect and ask those questions directly to that person or creator. So with this said, I'm going to be doing this one with Jason. Obviously, I'm going to compilate it down so you can get the answers that you so desperately deserve.
There might be some of your viewers who haven't heard the answer to those questions, so I don't mind. I'll answer whatever.
If you don't mind, I've got a couple of questions first, and then I would love to get people involved kind of quickly, because I know people don't like hanging around, and if you're anything like me with ADHD, then doubly so. So, the first thing I wanted to know was, I mean, the big thing, of course, with regards to this whole situation, and the whole thing that kind of made this auction not happen on the 31st, is someone acquiring the debt of the property, buying the banknote. So obviously there was a lot of confusion to begin with. You thought the same thing because you took down your GoFundMe for a period of time. You thought that everyone had bought the house. That's what we all thought as well. Someone had bought the property.
Yeah, because that's what the news was reporting.
Yes. So obviously we later learned that's not the case. What's the difference between buying the house and buying the debt?
All right, so the debt is what the house is, what somebody owes on the house. So the person who owns the house still owns the house. Somebody else owns the debt. So what happens is once they're foreclosed on, then the company whoever bought the debt has the ability to reset up the auction and so forth. Now, some companies, they'll go in and buy blocks from banks. So numerous houses, and they'll do this for their own reasons, to add their own fees on to sell the property at a higher rate once they foreclose and they get all this other stuff going. So, I mean, there's endless reasons behind that.
Yeah. So, I mean, and that's something as well that kind of leads me into the next question. So you've segued me quite beautifully, which is, now, obviously, the person who bought the debt is anonymous at this current time. Are you aware of who bought the debt? Have you been in contact with who bought the debt? Do you know, have you had any contact with them whatsoever? Do you know anything about that?
All right, so there's some legal things I can't talk about, that I can't get into, that aren't public knowledge, and I think that's going to have to be one I'm going to have to skip over for now.
Okay, so that's fine. So I won't press too hard on that.
Yeah, sorry. It's just
no, that's fine.
Things I can't say.
Okay, so that's fine. So that's fine. Right. So obviously,
it's just I want to be honest. I don't want to.
No, that's fine.
I don't want to. Yeah.
I think everyone kind of expected that answer. It was either going to be no, I don't know, or it was going to be yes, but I can't say, and that's absolutely fine. Now, obviously, the GoFundMe's stirred up a bit of controversy, to say the very least. I think a lot of people, I think there's been more support than there has been controversy, but people were surprised by the decision. First of all, do you know what number it's currently sat at, the GoFundMe, or where are we at with that?
Last look, I believe it was just, hang on, I'll probably tell you right now. It is at 156,000.
Wow. That's incredible. So fantastic effort there, because that's in what?
Well, and that's everybody. I mean, that's everybody out there who wanted to be a part of this, who wanted to help out with it.
Yeah.
And I think it's incredible.
Yeah, and it is incredible actually, and I think that's something that's really caught a lot of people's attention. But with regards to the GoFundMe, could you? I mean, a lot of people say that you could have easily done this yourself.
Yeah, I'm not going to argue that point.
Yeah.
I could have.
So, what was the purpose of the GoFundMe? Why choose that route instead of just go, fuck it, I'll just buy that myself?
Well, okay, and let me explain it. So, I had talked with my legal team, and I was more prepared. I was prepared to do this, but the fact of the matter is, if I went in and spent $3 million or whatever, I need to recoup that $3 million, which means I'm going to have to follow the business plan that Jacqueline had set forth in the first place. Which I'd have to start charging people $1,600 to $2,500 a night. I didn't want that. I wanted, if I'm going to get involved in a property that I've said since day one I didn't want to be involved in, I wanted to figure out a way that I could lower the initial hit, so I didn't have to recoup as much, so I didn't have to raise those prices. So in doing that, we discussed different things, and one thing was, well, crowdfunding, because a lot of people out there want this property saved and they want it accessible. So we decided to put it out there, and whatever's raised, it's refundable if it doesn't work, but put it out there so others help out, and in return it keeps the cost of the property and fixing up the property down. In return, keep ticket prices lower and less money that I have to recoup in the long run.
So one thing as well I saw when you did the Andrew Stonerock interview, you said in that you were hoping to charge, well, actually, you mentioned a rate that you would like ideally for the property for an overnight investigation per person. What was that number roughly?
Well, so it all depends on what initially the number I'm going to be into this property for. So you can't set a business plan without knowing the cost of the actual business. But honestly, I don't foresee any reason why we couldn't get that price down to, I mean, just throwing off the top, 50, 60, 70, or even $80 a person. I don't feel there's any reason we'd have to go over $80 a person to do an overnight investigation. And which is a big difference. I mean, at that point, even if you had 10 people, it's $800 versus the $2,000 that people used to spend.
Yeah.
So, and business isn't something new to me. I mean, I've owned hotels, restaurants, bars. I've had employees. I know cost factors. I know what goes into electricity or oil. And some of those places I had were costing me, $3,000, $4,000 a month just to keep the heat on. Yeah. So, I understand all those factors that come into play.
I think one of the big questions as well from content creators is, would you be vetting the content before it goes onto YouTube?
No, you know what? If you make a stupid video, then that's on you. That's on you. That's not on me. So bottom line, I'm not going to sit there. I'm not going to watch everybody's video. If they say things that are incorrect, then I expect the public to call them out on that.
Yeah.
I think the public policing videos is the best thing, because they're the ones who are calling out inaccuracies and calling out things that aren't correct. So I'm not going to sit there and watch somebody's video, and I'm not going to have to sign off on somebody's video. And no, that's just, and I get that some people want to do it for their own reasons, whatever, but that's just not me.
And I think as well,
when I go to a location, Ben, not one place, I would not ever film at one place. And I never have, even doing YouTube or my TV show. I would never film at a place that gave me limitations and said I couldn't, or I couldn't air something unless they signed off on it. That's just, yeah.
Yeah, fair enough. And I think the court of public opinion is far greater than that, than the court of the owner, let's say. I mean, one last question I've got before I want to open up the floor to other people is, I did see one good question, actually, that I'll get back to in just a moment, just in the chat as it was rolling through, was you've mentioned that people have kind of cleared the way for you and have said, I was interested in the property, but after seeing what you've gone through, are you able to name names on people that may have, I know some people might want to remain anonymous and might want to be like but do you know anyone that might that would be happy to be kind of said aloud?
Oh, honestly, I don't want to name any names specifically, but there is another well-known paranormal individual who has said that they're not going to step on my toes on this. Famous individual, and besides that, there's been other places that other people who own numerous other properties who've said the same. I dealt with a guy out of a hedge fund out in New York who said that they were stepping back because they were going to honor Andrea's wish. And so I mean, all in all, it's been positive. Now, I'm not trying to, force anybody to stand down on this. It's just, of course, if you get into a bidding war and the price is going to keep on going up, well, that there is going to affect everybody who tries to come to the property, and I would prefer that not to happen.
The one question that I saw from the chat that I thought was very interesting that I wanted to pose to you before I kind of open it up to like letting people into the call and stuff is obviously the deadline of the 31st of October now is kaput. That's not happening.
Yeah, that's not a void.
So
but when it does happen, it's going to happen fast.
Yeah. So there would be a potential auction take place.
Yeah. Yep.
Do you? The question that the person asked was if you had a deadline on that.
No, pretty much time is, of course, of the essence, because, I mean, if something happened on the 1st or the 2nd of November or whatever, so, I mean, time is of the essence to try to do it as quickly as possible to offset that cost.
Yep.
But, so there's really no deadline at this point.
Yeah. Cool. All right, interesting. So
but these things don't take long.
I just want to say really quickly, thank you, Jason, genuinely, for everything that you are doing here and what you're doing for this community. And also, I have to mention that I grew up with you and Taps, and you inspired me to investigate the paranormal and to be respectful about it and be skeptical about everything. And just thank you for being a great role model to this very day for the paranormal community. That's awesome. Sorry, nervous?
Oh, nothing to be nervous on. I'm the most down-to-earth person out there. I'm trying to make it so I'm still on camera here. I think it's
I've always said to Jason, just very quickly, he's the shittest celebrity I've ever met because he's just not got an ego. But yeah.
No,
that's great. That's one of the best parts of you, Jason.
Thank you. I mean, that's just who I am. It's always been about being down to earth and keeping it real, being myself. TV doesn't make me any different. So.
I appreciate it so much, like deeply, deeply. I appreciate it. That's awesome.
You're a sweetheart. Thank you so much.
Of course. And then just my quick question, so I don't take up any time. How long roughly do you feel that it would take for the home to be able to be repaired upon us, hopefully like winning this battle and being able to be open to the community?
I would think, so let's just throw out a time frame. Let's say if we were able to get the property for December, I would think that we'd be able to have it all fixed up and everything else within a month and a half.
Really?
I can plumb that whole house in probably a weekend. Bring in one of my guys. I can have my construction guys there. I mean, this isn't something that, I could sit there and tell the world that, it's going to take forever. It's going to cost all this much money, but that's not the fact. That's not the truth. So I think that, and I've plumbed in whole hotels and stuff within, just a few weeks. So I don't think it would take long at all. And this is coming from a guy who's had experience in construction and plumbing and all that stuff. So yeah, I don't think it would take long at all. I think the thing is, once we get that done, then we connect with the town and figure out their limitations and what they're going to allow us to do and move forward from there. But it won't take long at all.
Okay, amazing. That's so great to hear. That's awesome. And hey, I got plumbers here in the family if you ever want.
I mean,
it's
recession free, right? So.
Yeah.
I was wondering, all the other people because the house is still going to be up for auction, right? You're still going to bid.
Yeah, it still has to go through foreclosure process.
Okay. So you said that you had talked to someone in the paranormal community and they said that they weren't going to be bidding. That's fine. You don't have to say who.
Yep.
But I'm wondering, do you expect other people in the paranormal community to bid against you?
Oh, 100%. Yeah. I think that's been obvious. Yeah, and who those individuals are. I mean, they haven't hidden their plans, which is fine. It's understandable, but it's just like I said. I'm in this because Andrea asked me to, and out of respect, I'm just trying to answer her plea and do what the majority of the community was hoping for.
Right. Well, you know, I feel like actually I know this is going to happen. People are. I see that there are people that are weary of your GoFundMe and your project.
Yeah.
You know, trying to get the Conjuring house, and I think, you know, even though I believe that you're just trying to get this just to preserve it, I don't think you're trying to make a ton of money off of it. However, because of so many scams in the paranormal community, I think that's, you know, whether you were involved with any of it or not, I think that's what makes people wary of it.
You know, and I totally agree with you on that. But I think, you know, I've been involved in the field for over 35 years, and I haven't pulled one thing. I haven't. I mean, everything I've said, I've always been a man of my word. And you know, so the fact of the matter is, somebody shouldn't I wouldn't damn you for somebody else doing something. But you know, and I get them wanting to be cautious on this. But also, I've seen I've seen so many in the community step forward and to be a part of this, which I mean, it's amazing to me. It really is.
Yeah, well, and I'm not saying, you know, that you know it's on you know that you're doing something like that. I'm just saying, just generally speaking, you know, because we've seen scams in the past. So now when somebody sees something going on, and it's in a lot of other communities and fandoms and stuff, you know, people get a little wary of that. Do you have a time frame yet on when any of this might happen?
Well, we don't have an exact time frame, but I can tell you that you know, it's going to happen fast. The auction was supposed to happen on the 31st. The mortgage was bought by another company. They're going to run through the foreclosure, and then it's going to pop up fast. So it's more about just trying to get it done or raised as quickly as possible. And the nice thing, you know, one thing I didn't even realize when I started doing this until I started talking with GoFundMe Direct was their whole thing. Even on their page, it says that the GoFundMe, it's all protected. Refunds can be issued, and I think that's important, because if it was something just like some of the other apps, it would have been money coming in, and nothing could have ever been done with that. And another thing I had, another concern I had was some of the people who donate the money on the GoFundMe come up as anonymous. So I needed to contact GoFundMe. I'm like, how will these people be refunded? And they told me that it's anonymous to the public, but it's not anonymous to them, that they have their information. So that made me feel a lot better that I can still give all the money back to them as well.
Yeah, that's a good thing to point out. But I do want to address one other thing that might, you know, I hope you get the house. But
well, I hope the community does. Yeah, absolutely.
Here's the problem that I see that might crop up. Say the auction happens.
Mm-hmm.
Say you don't get the house, and someone else in the paranormal community does. Now, I know you are just going to be like, no hard feelings, but the backlash that someone else might get from getting that house instead of you, I feel like there might be some backlash there.
Well, and you know what? And that's, I mean, I can't deny that. The fact of the matter is, you know, like I had spoken with Elton at one point, and he had stated a point. He's like, well, you've damned anybody who's got, well, I haven't damned anybody, but I get his point. The fact of the matter is, if I have a plan where I can keep the prices down, and somebody else comes in and has a plan, is going under a different business model where they're looking to make a profit out of it, well, I mean, then they're going to have to deal with the community and how that's represented to the community and how they respond to it. That's not on me. People have asked me my goal, my plans, and I've said that. If that's damned others, that was never my intention, but it's just the fact that this is what I plan to do. This is how I plan to do it. You know, if others are doing it differently, then, you know, that's up to them. Or, I mean, yeah, so it's no hard feelings either way.
Right. Yeah. So, I mean, I've been following, obviously, I've been following everything that's been happening.
Yep.
And the one thing that I have noticed is when I see a video or a live stream or something, occasionally I will see you in the comments or something, and you'll be trying to correct people if they're saying something that might be wrong. And a lot of people it'll just be silence. They just won't say nothing. They won't do nothing. So I just want to say respect to you for addressing any issues.
And I've tried to do that. I've tried to go in and those people who've had opposition or whatever felt their way. I've tried to respond to them in a positive manner to explain what's going on or if their information is incorrect and stuff. And yeah, you're right. I mean, some of those people just never respond after that. It's like, if you have an argument, bring up the argument. We can talk about it respectfully. You don't have to attack me. I'm not here to attack you, but at least defend your argument, explain why you feel this way. And if I respond and then you just give up, I mean, you can't further a conversation that way.
All right. I'm not trying to hijack your live stream. I just have one more question. I'll let you guys go. So obviously I saw the video where Andrea was talking about people were, talking bad about her cancer. And I just want to lightly go over that. Okay. So I don't know who's doing that. I just want to know, have you been in contact with her? Is she okay? Like, I'm not asking like just mentally, is she doing okay? Are you talking her through all this? Cause it's got to be rough on her.
Well, honestly, I've talked to her twice. And then I've also been on a video with her twice. She's holding up, and she's dealing with an emotional roller coaster and a lot of things that are going on for her. Bottom line is, and I said to her, I'm like, you gotta handle your fight and let us try to handle this one for you. But I mean, she's
I just see her getting really worked up, and I lost my mother to cancer, and it's not something to make.
I lost my father to cancer and MS, so I know exactly what you're talking about. And I didn't know the things that were said on that video prior, because I was on an investigation and I came in, I guess, like 5 or 10 minutes after that. So yeah, I saw her getting worked up and everything, and hopefully she's just gotta take it one day at a time, one breath at a time.
Right. I saw that, and it just kind of struck a nerve with me because of my mother and everything. And not trying to get too serious, I just wanted to make sure like she's good, she's okay, everything's cool.
Respect for that. Respect.
I appreciate you guys letting me up, and I hope you guys have a wonderful live stream.
Thank you
so much
for
man.
joining.
Thank
really
you so much.
appreciate you taking the time.
Yep. Take care, man.
Some really productive conversations there, actually. So that's really good.
Yep. All right. You guys take care.
And
stay safe,
look after yourself.
I have a background with historical societies and preservation, and I was just wondering, after if you do get the house, after all of this happens, if you're going to be partnering with any local preservation agencies or nonprofit historical societies and that sort of thing for like programming, but also preservation work and restoration.
And that's a great question, and that's definitely a possibility. We've already talked about reaching out to the historical society in the area and working something with them. The whole idea here is if we can get the property, then I would like to put the property in some sort of trust. Now, the reason behind that is for many factors, and I brought it up the other day, was in a trust, if say 20, 30 years from now, I ended up sick, like my father was, when my dad got sick and he ended up in a nursing home, the state tried to take the home, they tried to take everything. And I want to make sure that no matter what, this property is protected. So the idea of getting it into a trust where it can take care of itself and exist long after me is the goal here. And the historical society, again, we've reached out, and we plan to reach out and connect with them. There's so many factors that come into play. I think the main thing I'm just focused on right now is getting the property, and then trying to do whatever is best for that property. Not what's best for me, not what's best for the paranormal community or anything else, which I think is important, but it's trying to do what's best for that property and then just getting it open so it can maintain itself. It can bring in its own revenue where it's, you know, making enough to take care of itself, and it's also putting some in the bank to take care of any emergencies that might happen. Because, you know, you're talking about a property, it's septic, it's a well, it's all these factors that come into play. You for all I know, you could have a well that runs dry. Now we got to spend 30, 40 grand to dig for a new well, and the list goes on and on. Right. It's just, I want to make sure it's taken care of where it's not going to constantly be a financial hit to me. It's able to maintain itself.
Right. Yeah, definitely. And I think that's where, like, I guess some partnerships with different nonprofits could be able to help you in that sense. Especially because, I mean, you sort of pointed out, it isn't just the paranormal hotspot.
No.
It's historic. And
That's
I
right.
think that's something that needs to be brought up a lot more in the conversation, especially since there's, you know, arguably burial sites on the property that need to be, you know, mentioned in this sort of thing. It's not just something that attracts people for money, but respecting the place.
Exactly. And the respect is the biggest part there. Because I know the majority of the paranormal community will respect that property. They'll respect its history. And the historical aspect of it, they'll respect it as well. And that's what it's about, is just respecting what that property has been through. You got to remember, it's 1736 or somewhere around there. It's 1730. It's like 289 years old. But that actually might be in question, though, because there's documents that show that it was from 1725. The only reason they've been going by 1739 is because 1739 is etched into concrete somewhere, but the property existed prior to that. So, I mean, there's different factors that need to come into play that need to have the historical society and their help and others to try to document what's 100% accurate.
Yeah. Yep. Okay, I agree with you. I just wanted to pop in and ask that question because it was on
You're a
my
sweetheart.
So I just had a question. So do you know if they're going to allow you to have the entertainer license back?
Honestly, that's something I'd be working hand in hand with the council on. Yeah, the town council and stuff. And I don't foresee many issues. I've dealt with that in the past with other towns. Yeah.
Well, I knew the neighbors had been kind of complaining from the previous owner.
Yep, I'm actually good
So are
friends
you
with the
going to be
neighbors.
working with them about that?
Yeah, I'm actually good friends with the neighbors, and I have texts from a bunch of them that said that they will go with me to the town council meetings and say, you know, make sure that we give this the license back. So yeah, and we got to remember the town. The only reason they stopped it was because of issues that were going on with the owner, and you know, things like that. So, I mean, they loved having that business going in that town. It was just, you know, issues that were going on with her is what they felt it was within their best interest to remove it at that point.
Okay. I was just wondering. I knew that under her owning that things were not good, so I was hoping that would be able to come back.
Yep, I see no concern in that. So I think we're in a good place.
Do you know what kind of condition it's in? Do you know if it's in a fine condition? Is it manageable to walk in and say, like, right, this is quite an easy fix, or is it going to be a big job?
You know what? I'm not 100% sure on the details on that, but I can tell you that the bones of the structure are strong, and you know, so from there, we can fix the rest of it.
Amazing. Well, fair enough. That's all we needed to know.
I was curious if your business model would include the community. It in the sense of from a previous question, in the historical sense, if you would have a historian on site for school activities, children's field trips.
That's a great question.
I love that.
Clear up to high school, college.
Yep.
And by historian, I may mean me.
Well, you know what? And that's a great question. Let me just answer that right off.
Sick.
So,
what a great question.
the setup over there hadn't been really forgiving to allowing school buses and things like that to show up. Now, that's one of my my plans is to open it up for school tours because I remember when I was a kid and we'd go to some of these locations and we see these locations and we'd be like, wow, that's how they did it way back then. And I think that's important to bring that back and just to open it up to the ability of school functions, elementary schools going and seeing what life back in the 1700s was like. So that has actually been a part of the business plan because the historical aspect needs to coexist with the paranormal aspect of it. And, it doesn't have to be 24/7 paranormal. It'd be great to have these younger kids coming and seeing what life was like back then or how people lived back then and learning the tools of the trade and things like that. So that's a very big part of what I want to see happen with that property.
That from a historian's point of view, that is wonderful to hear. I'm all about getting the community involved in historical activities, and I don't think paranormal would necessarily be good for kids to an extent.
No. And that's where they have to have that division. And the nice thing is, like, my family, we've always been big into the historical aspects. Even with my shows, we always want to tell the history of it. My oldest daughter, Samantha, has her master's in history because it's something that's always meant so much. She's actually getting ready to get her doctorate in it. So that tells you how important the historical aspect is to me and my family. Because the paranormal is great. I mean, I love it, but you don't know about the paranormal history without knowing the historical history of the property. You need, because they coexist.
Exactly. Well, that's awesome. I'm really glad to hear that, and I wish you the best of luck. I truly do.
Sorry, so I'm currently modding the chat, and I had a question that it seems everyone wants to ask Jason. And first and foremost, Jason, big fan, love what you do. I've been watching you for a very long time. But it appears everyone's asking in regards to the GoFundMe, the crowdfunding for the Conjuring house. People are asking, because of their contributions, what sort of return would the community see? Would it be monetary? Would it be some sort of, I guess, incentive to the community in regards to the Conjuring house? Would it be some sort of content via live streaming? Would it be anything along those lines? Now, in my opinion, you're not entitled to do anything of the sorts. You're asking to preserve a known historically haunted location and bring it back to a prime of its sorts. So I guess people are just wondering if there is a massive incentive in regards to donating. Thank you.
And that's a great question. So first off, I can't make any promises, rewards, or anything according to GoFundMe's policies, and also for tax reasons. So as of rewards, I can never do that. The benefit here is keeping the prices down and also finding other ways to continue to keep the prices down, whether we set up a 24-hour or 12-hour whatever live streams on Patreon or whatever, where and these are just ideas that are being thrown out on Patreon, where that cost coming in can again offset the cost of people spending time there, doing community functions, whether it's having little community bazaars or fairs there on the land to again bring the community together, to bring in funds again into return to lower the price of admission and things like that. So there's so many factors that come into play. Now, as of a reward, again, legally can't say there is. I think the reward would be initially to be able to go to this property for a fraction of the past cost.
I know you have said, like, possibly in the barn you might have like historical things showing time periods.
Yep.
So how do you exactly plan on curating those items?
When you say curate, are you talking the historical tools of the trade and stuff?
Yes.
Well, first off, there's numerous ways. There's some still on the property, and there's other ways of getting tools of the trade from those days there to showcase how they would have been used on that property. So, I mean, there's multiple ways of doing that, whether you're grabbing it from other locations to show that these are tools that they would have used back in the 1700s. Whether it's stuff that's there on the property in the basement, shoved away. I mean, the list goes on. And I think that you can do that. You can do that in multiple ways. You can have the historical aspect of the history and again, how they survived and so forth. But you can also have the scientific aspect and the paranormal aspect, and they can just all be in one area. So if people want to see this part of it, they can. If they want to see that part of it, they can.
Okay. Because I live in Virginia and I'm not very far from Jamestown, Yorktown
Oh, yeah.
area.
I've been there many times. I love it.
So I was just curious because I know some people have found things from those time periods just laying in their house. So I didn't know
Right.
if you're going to take like donations and stuff like that.
I mean, of course, we would be happy to take donations if it's something that was involved during that time period. Yeah, so that faction's always there. But yeah, so there's many different ways to get different items from that area, whether I'm buying them, at auctions, at old antique stores or whatever.
For anyone that may not have had it, maybe possibly in a nutshell kind of way where people can understand it in simplified terms, why it is that you've taken this route just again.
Sure. Yeah, I could have bought the property. I could have done this all on my own. The fact of the matter is, wanted to see how we could do it and keep the prices down a lot cheaper than they used to be, than they historically were. So, upon talking with my legal, my legal representation, this was an option that we decided, you know what, we can see if the community can come together and help offset the price. So in return, it helps keep the prices down. So we're not charging the $1,500 to $2,500 that they used to charge in the past, and hopefully cut that more than in half. So
there we go. So obviously, I think, I mean, again, it comes down to this whole idea where people see a GoFundMe from someone that's well known, instantly assume the worst, because there have been times in the past where people have set up GoFundMes and taken the money and run.
I mean, this is protected, right? Yeah, I mean, it even says it right on GoFundMe, and
Yeah.
it's also said it in every post that's been out there that
Yeah.
if it doesn't work, then the money all gets refunded.
Yeah.
So to everybody.
And I'm sure that's exactly how it will pan out. Because
I mean, I don't need their money. I don't need people's money. We're doing this to try to offset the cost for everybody to get that property back open and make sure that people can afford to go there.
Yeah, fair enough. And LDK put in a comment just saying, we know what we're aiming for price wise. And obviously you mentioned before you can't set a specific number on it, but you're hoping no more than maybe $80 per head.
Yeah, honestly, because hey, of course you can't set a price because I'm not sure how much I'm going to have to be into this. So, and I have to recoup those expenses, but over a period of time, not instantaneous. So, so when it comes down to it, I mean, they were charging, I don't even know, it was like $200 a person or whatever for overnight. It was like $2,000 plus. Seg said they spent like $2,500 to go there.
That's right.
And I can guarantee it won't be anywhere near that. So I can guarantee it won't even be half of that.
Will there be overnight stays at the house? That's obviously the question that other people have come up. I'm sure. I mean, that will probably be the bread and butter of the business, I should imagine.
I think the bread and butter of the business could be actually tours throughout the day, depending on how many people are coming through there, depending on if you're getting school tours as well. Yeah, because they were charging, I forgot exactly what, I could be wrong, but I thought it was like $40 a head and stuff. And you can cut that price down too. But that, I think the tours could be the majority of income for that property to help offset everything else. And I think overnights, which again, were historically anywhere from $1,600 to $2,500. I think you could drop that down to as low as, $800 for, 10 people. So $80 a person.
Yeah.
And that would be overnight. So, I mean, there's so many factors that come into play. And again, if I was using this as a piggy bank or as a business venture, it would be very different. But I'm not. I'm actually just trying to do a preservation thing, save the property, and then keep it down as low as we can.
I personally feel like it's out of the realms of necessity because it's family, not business. But I feel like I'm going to ask it. Obviously, if you don't want to answer it, you don't have to. It's
I'll answer anything.
Cody and Satori. So Satori's your daughter. Cody's soon-to-be son-in-law. You know, obviously the whole Sam and Colby thing a couple of years ago really propelled the pair of them into notoriety. Some people won't necessarily mind the fact that you're Satori's dad and, you know, may bring her back into the fold. Some people might see it as a potential murky in the waters kind of thing. Essentially, I guess what I'm trying to ask is...
Hold on, just ask the question.
Would they have a place at the business? How would you manage that? Bear in mind the I guess because the community have involved themselves within this, how would you manage their expectation versus maybe Cody and Satori's involvement?
Honestly, as of this time, I could say it truly hasn't been a discussion where it's been more, and that would fall more under whatever's best for the property. I mean, Satori is my child,
Yes.
bottom line. And you're going to see my children helping out. You're going to see my kids mowing the lawn. You're going to see my sons mowing the lawn. You're going to see, they're going to be there helping me do the work. So when it comes down to, Satori and Cody's involvement, I mean, that's going to fall within, what's best for the property. And, Jen and Corey and Aaron will all have a say in that matter when we get to that point. But that's not what this is about. Tori didn't even know that I was putting a video out there that I was saying I was going to do this. That was a surprise enough for them. And because you know what, it wasn't a family decision. It was a Jason Hawes decision on what I felt I needed to do. And, again, it all comes down to what's best for the property and so forth. So I'm not going to get roped into any decision one way or another. Okay. And, again, just going to do best that we can for that property. And that decision falls under the decision of many others.
Okay, fair enough. So you'd put it to like a democratic decision as opposed
to... because
I
mean, it's not, when it comes down to a lot of the decisions that will happen, that I'm gonna bounce those decisions off of everybody from the past owners, people who ran the property, right down to the neighbors, because, the neighbors are personal friends of mine. And I want to make sure that they're good with anything that's going on there.
Okay, fair enough. I mean, someone else, Undercover Whale, just put in the comments section stating, I don't think anyone's upset that they will come and help around the house. It's more about them performing at the property, of course, performing the tapping method that they've become quite infamous for. Obviously, again, that's obviously going to be, I imagine, down to your discretion and the discretion of others based off of what you've just
I mean, I'm not going to hide anything. It is what it is. It's I'll do whatever's best for that property and so forth.
Would you try and follow the model of My Haunted Project, having cameras recording 24/7? Love your work, Jason.
Well, thank you. And one of the things that has been planned to offset cost would be to have a feed that even if people paid $2.99 a month or whatever to offset the cost, to have the feed so people could watch the cameras and see everything going on there.
Oh yeah, I like that.
Yeah, I mean, anything, like I said, anything that will offset the cost to make it so the place is cheaper, I think that's what's most important, is about doing that to make sure everybody's able to experience it, enjoying it.
Yeah, I like that, because for someone like myself, for example, living in the UK, it's not easy to get involved and just hop on a flight to get over to the US. So, and it's not cheap either, I'll tell you that for free. So, to be able to maybe have a model like that where you've got constant surveillance, perhaps, maybe not when someone's investigating, maybe you could turn them off for that period of time. I don't know. That's obviously down to you. I'd be intrigued to see that. And I think other people would probably quite enjoy having that.
And again, it would be a way to generate income to offset the price of people going there.
Yeah. Good question here. fantastic question, in fact, and it's something that, with all the controversy that's been going on recently, has been completely overlooked, which was the original controversy. Is Jacqueline, or has Jacqueline been in contact with you? Is she still bothering you? Has she said anything on the current situation regarding her property, ultimately?
I haven't spoken directly with Jacqueline, so yeah.
Has she said anything to you? Like, has she tried to contact you again? Because I know you were getting like emails and all the rest of it. You were an assassin at
Honestly,
one point.
I haven't gotten any contact from her in quite a while. So
right, fair enough. From as far as I'm aware as well, people, she hasn't posted much about it publicly. I did expect something